The title of the lecture, as you recall, is how to avoid getting cancer, and if you're dealing with it, how to deal with it from a nutritional perspective. From my point of view, there are 7 fundamental things that cause cancer. Free radicals, viruses, chemicals, anger, frustration, resentment, and guilt. Those are the 7 fundamental causes of cancer. And we're not going to spend too much time on the anger, resentment, frustration, and guilt. That's things for you all to think about. What we're really going to spend our time on is avoiding cancer first and foremost, and that begins with diet. The ideal diet is raw foods first and foremost. I would say to you the ideal is 80% raw, 15% cooked, and 5% junk. And there's a reason for that. And that is, number one, if you're trying to get a significant other or children into a healthier diet, and you don't allow them to have their 5% junk, or 10% as when I give you another number, then they're going to resent it, and all the good you're trying to accomplish with a good diet will be undermined by the feelings of resentment because they're feeling they're being denied what they want. So if you allow that 5%, then it won't be an issue. You'll be able to enjoy. And later, if you catch me at Pizza Hut having a beer and a pizza, you'll know I'm having my 5%. So what's more realistic is about 50 to 60% raw, 30% cooked, and 5 to 10% junk. And here's the deal when it comes to raw foods. Your fruits and vegetables should be organic. And you'll understand the importance of that when we get into how chemicals affect the body and how they're a cause in the cancer picture. When it comes to cooked foods, obviously your grains need to be cooked. When it comes to meats, fish and fowl, if you're going to eat meat, look for free-range critters that are organically fed, predominantly grass, not grain, because grains the farmers are going to spray no matter what, and grasses no one's going to bother to spend the money. So there's that. And if you're going to eat fowl, look at turkey over chicken because turkey has less fat, and you'll understand the value of that as we move forward. And seafood, no shellfish, preferably no freshwater fish, and no farm-raised fish. If you're going to eat fish, look for deep-sea fish with scales. If you want to know good eating habits, go back to Leviticus or Deuteronomy, and you'll get some really good eating habits as a diet to follow. When it comes to dairy, I do not promote dairy. I do not recommend dairy. Countries that do dairy have the highest osteoporosis, the highest bone fractures, and the highest colon cancer. Even though they say you need calcium from dairy, it is not necessarily a good source. You're better off doing supplementation. The other thing with minerals is you can get calcium, especially your minerals and calcium, out of your leafy green vegetables. And if you want strong bones, exercise. That's what will strengthen the bones, not necessarily drinking milk and doing all that, because again, countries that do that have more osteoporosis than others. When it comes to water, I'm an advocate of distilled water. The cleaner your water, the better off you will be. Because in the water from public water supply, is it safe? Yes, it's safe. Why is it safe? Because it's got cetifiers, clarifiers, antimicrobials, antibacterial, antifungal. All those chemicals are in the water supply. And this is what there's 100,000 chemicals that are being utilized in our daily living. And people don't think about it, but here's the deal with chemicals. And think about, not only is it in the food, in the water, and there's nothing you can do about the air. That goes without saying. But also think about what you apply to your skin. If you cannot eat your cosmetics out of the jar, you shouldn't bother wearing them. Because if you put them on your body, you're eating them anyway. because whatever you apply to your skin ends up in your bloodstream. You know, I mentioned earlier today, I had done a talk earlier, and I had talked about the plugins. You know, everybody wants their house to smell beautiful. And so they sell all of these chemical plugins that you plug into the wall and it puts out an aroma. Well, those are chemical smells. And so now you're bringing in a chemical gas into the body. Now, along the chemical pathway, here's what takes place. Whatever, again, you eat, breathe, drink, apply to your skin, it's in your bloodstream. Right now, your body is creating new cells. The process is called mitosis. 1 becomes 2, 2 become 4. Where does the building material for new cells come from? It comes from what's ever in your bloodstream. So if your body incorporates a toxin into the construction of a new cell, it could damage the DNA of the cell. Once that cell is damaged, it no longer looks right, it no longer knows how to perform its function properly. You now have the beginnings of aging. You have set the foundation for disease and conceivably cancer, and you'll understand that association when we go through this entire process. So that's one issue. Let us say conversationally, it doesn't damage the DNA of your cell. Well, within your cells are genes, and these genes create proteins that help run your body. So if a chemical gets into a gene expression, and visualize a gate, if you will. If the gate is closed, and a toxin is supposed to be closed, and the toxin come along and open the gate, you now have a cell that may not manufacture a particular protein. For instance, there is a protein that your body manufactures that keeps you safe from tumors. Now, if that protein is damaged because the gate was locked open and the biochemical transaction can't take place, your body cannot dissolve tumors. So now you're susceptible to growths. On the other hand, if there's a gate that's supposed to be open and the chemical closes it, now your body may be replicating cells uncontrollably. What is that called in medical terms? Cancer. And that's what cancer is, the uncontrolled growth of cells. And what's really bad about it is that the cells cannot communicate with each other, so they don't know how to function properly. And because of that, and if it overtakes us, that's what destroys the human body, and that's what kills us. Now, so that's what happens when the chemicals get into your cells because they're in your bloodstream. When it gets to your liver, what your liver seeks to do is render the toxin harmless. Liquid, gas, or solid, you'll pass it out of your body. What cannot be rendered harmless is stored in the fat. And if you've ever done a water fast, and people who have will tell you by the second or third day, they begin to feel like death warmed over. And if you've done one, then you know the truth of that. And the reason they do is because the first day, your body is consuming all of the glucose that's readily available. The second day, it's going after the stored energy, the glycogen. By the third day, it's going after the fat. Fat is fuel. And as it begins to utilize this fat as fuel, it's releasing toxins back into your bloodstream, so you can begin to understand why people would get sick at that third day, because it's dumping.